dangerous when there's the ribeye steak right beside it. That is, unless you're running auto revive. This feat, honestly, is pretty dog shit, but it is pretty funny. Dying first in a team fight and getting up to help again is pretty cool, but getting your shit pushed in by a 3v1 only to get up to get your shit pushed in again is really demoralizing. Now, if we talk about his executions, this is where Warlord has some sort of flair to it. I know some people are not a fan of his WWE style executions, but as a guy who literally grew up watching WWE, spending hundreds of hours as a Raw SmackDown in 2007, I love them. They're a little disconnected from the time frames, but they look so cool. Even the ones that aren't WWE related are normally really good. Talking in their executions, and Warlord's voice actor delivered. All of this combined, I easily think Warlord takes the top of B tier. The average ranking for Mr. Average. Yeesh, this hero is going to be hard to accurately place, but I'm not going to put some smoke bomb at the same time. Berserker is a hero that is fundamentally different. The only hero who consists of type bomb in my attack. Things a lot of smash controllers and keyboards in the community. While at the same time feeling like you really have no right option if you're playing against someone who is really above average at the game. The way you play Berserker comes down to this. How much can I annoy my opponent? You can even see this in the hero's personality. He's a spaz who just yells in your face every 5 seconds. I cannot deny though that hitting some poor bastard with 7 different heavy painted lights is funny. I think Berserker actually has some decent fashion with 2 very different styles.
Checkers and Rallies $5 MVP meal deal makes you a big deal. Choose the new mushroom Swiss spicy chicken or cheese double with fries, drink, and dessert. Just $5. Be a big deal for just $5. Only at Checkers and Rallies. This is different. Hey everybody, Peach here, and today we're going to take a look at the Speedian's digital gym, which essentially has a built-in personal trainer. This could be perfect for those who are limited on space, who want to take the guesswork out of getting into or staying into shape, or those who want to level up with the benefits of digital magnetic resistance. Then analog resistance types of barbells, dumbbells, and capabilities. Concern number 1, digital magnetic resistance. I love it. It has the following resistance modes: standard, chains, eccentric, and fixed speed. Okay, now your typical cable pulley systems and weight plates just can't offer that. Concern number 2, countdown. So is this
Nope, didn't mean to take anything there.
the very first workout I did, it kicked my butt. It pushes you further because you cannot cheat like you can with analog resistance. It counts the reps in real time, monitoring the force output, and keeping you constantly engaged on each and every rep, pushing you to go as hard as you can. Concern number 3, quality. The product itself is much higher quality than I assumed it would be, and it far exceeded my initial expectations. The materials used, even down to the speaker system, is much nicer than I expected it would be. And there is no subscription. But total, I think you have to pay about $60 a month to use the product, whereas with this, no subscription, you just pay what you pay, and that's it. As of right
Fuck.
now, I think
Oh,
having
no.
someone guide me step by step in the workout, pushing me to make every rep count, might just be the thing to reinvigorate my home gym workout. And in fact, I'm going to virtually exclusively use this.
If that was a later one, oh my god.
Your friends, enter you.
Oh my god.
The best part, and in my opinion, the only saving grace Berserker has, is his executions. If Valkyrie didn't exist, I would say Berserker has some of the best executions in the entire faction. My god, the level of detail animation that went into this, making this crackhead the fuck out of people, should be awarded. Obviously, he's got some handful of bad ones, but even then, he's still got some really good execution personality in it. There are so many things I really hate about Berserker, but I need to be real. That's the overall personality of Berserker saves him from being put in D tier. So I'm gonna put him in C tier with very questionable feelings. As much as I can say positive things about Valkyrie, I'd be lying to say when I see a Valkyrie in their team, I know I'm not gonna have very much fun. I think there's things I absolutely love about Valkyrie, and it's the fact that she has so many options in her kit, and all of them are majority balanced. When I play Valk, I love trying to use everything possible to win a fight. A great example is the Valk effect. I don't know what to call it, but if someone hits your guard in a 1v1, you may did it getting guard break against the enemy. This attribute is that very little Valk player exists, and not only that, but when you do find one, they are just fight spammers, or they like to sit their guard all game. The fighter's off Valkyrie slash is a very distinguished case. Sometimes I was sitting there making a Valkyrie and I fall in love with how I made them. Where the problem comes is that trying to use armor sets and variants with different armor sets and variants never work. Something about it always looks destructive and wrong, but hey, you can always use the brick helmet and brown leather armor with yellow colors and be a free maker. I'm not going to go into much detail about her feats because yet again, the feats are almost the same on every hero, but something about Bounty Hunter on Valkyrie is so orgasmic. Getting a right read on a finisher heavy, getting the Bounty Hunter proc, and then getting an execution to be full health is way more rewarding than being in between those thighs. God, I really need to talk to women. Valkyrie's executions are some of the only executions in the game that's still unsettled. I could watch someone get disemboweled and beheaded with these, or, you know, the classic limb removal. But a spear to the neck is just... You can hear the neck just kind of breaking as he's begging, and... It's a shame Bronner had to remove the old hands-up XC for regional issues, but... I think this gives Valkyrie's fun factor is definitely that people want to play her in game, because if you can have fun against the Valkyrie, it really just depends what's going on. And so I think easily the fact that easier to find one Valkyrie right now. If you searched up Annoying in Urban Dictionary, a picture of Shaman will eventually pop up. I'm just not a Liberty player, so thankfully I don't have to deal with the Shaman in duels. But to anyone that has gotten absolutely shit up by Softbait Bleeds, I'm sorry. Playing Shaman can definitely be a vibe, you're wrong. I'm not a player anymore in Dominion, but one thing always stays the same, and that's when you play Shaman with randoms, you're never going to get your bite off. Some dumb bastard will always hit you out of it, even when he sees you getting it. He mistimes the heavy attack and interrupts your fight. So if someone really wants to buff Shaman in a sense, they should give me the address to anyone who interrupts my fight so I can call an ICP and improve. Shaman's fashion boils down to two things. Do I want to be a crackhead on the side of the doors to do best in the streets, or do I want to make her the palm and top top? There really is no in-between unless you go for that neon skull look that everyone has on at least one loadout. Don't get me wrong, it looks cool when you see it every fucking game 50 times over, the uniqueness starts to fall off. Shaman is one of the only heroes in the game that I would say have a build, like slamming 3 trap beats and watching your opponent step in a minefield you created that they're unknown walking into. Shaman's executions are the weakest part about her. They're really either long or just insanely short. None with anything I'd say are flashy or cool, but they just kind of look average. I mean, how many times are you just going to stab someone in the stomach, or the arm, or just the back? For me, everything feels very samey with not a lot to it. Even though I don't play duels, I can acknowledge the fact that she's just not fun to see pop up in your games, so I think that's the easiest to put in C tier for me. There's a lot that can be said about this Scottish man. My favorite part about him, though, has to be the weight of the character. Hitting someone with any piece of his kit really has something to do with it. Having a hero with 2 separate movesets and stances that pass flow to each other is pretty fun to mess around with. Obviously, one is better than the other on paper, but they both hold their own niches. Fighting against the high-level is nothing to one question. How often do they use flex? If a high-level doesn't use it very often, then the fight is not really fun. You can't use it in there. Second, your opponent goes to log control out of the problem. High-level faction, I think, has some of the best games in Irish faction. You have so many different options that all synergize really well with each other. His feats are quite boring, though. Seeing as he is one of the slowest heroes in the game, sometimes it feels necessary to use Rush. Winner's Advantage is a cool feat, but it's more of a placebo than actually useful feats. But during the time Winner's Advantage will run out before you can utilize it, or just major block damage before.
John. Yeah. Okay.
Certain feats like Long Bow and Mirror have unique animations and offensive stats and defensive stats which you can use in game. You will never know true joy until you can paper and toss someone into your bear shop right off your place. Highlander has some really boring executions that don't itch that I have, but the fact that he has 2 executions that do synergize with each other speaks volumes. You hit someone with 1 execution, and you hit the other, and it's just powerful. I think it's easy to community forget about Highland's like that. I think it's
Yeah. Put that together and you and Ash can use it on the living room and kitchen. Yep.
is still not very fun to fight, but follows patterns like heavyweight.
Kathy said she'd be over around 4 or 5 tomorrow.
The most annoying thing is that you never really allow them to survive.
Okay.
People are just prone to dodging it because the trade-off is just not good. Either guard breaks you and he's not gonna, and if he's not near a wall, he only gets.
I guess her mom's washer kicked the bucket.
But if he does a bash, he gets a knockdown.
So she's gonna bring some laundry that she can keep herself busy while I'm working.
Trade-off. And then obviously on top of all of that is the fun killer move that is forward dodge offensive. If you actually use this in live games, you should change your name to Hide. I'm boring. Storm's fashion is I don't really know. If you see a higher up Norm, it's either the Loki helmet or the Skyrim helmet, and that's honestly it. A lot of his armor is the same piece, but slightly altered to either be really clean or make you look like you rolled in shit for 5 minutes straight. I don't think I've ever seen anything other than Norm's equal used. Don't get me wrong, but it feels skills with these feats are expensive, but it makes heroes feel way more easy. Take JJ and Firecraft. That's what you know. One of the things I can get from that is Norm's voice acting did such an amazing job of all the yelling, I have to applaud. Norm's executions are just kind of mid at best. None of them in my eyes have the feeling of, oh, yeah, that's a sick one. Some of them are just lasting long, while the other ones are just lame. To be fair, it's hard to say anything with Hammer in terms of progress and character missions. Overall, Norm on a majority is just kind of average, but leaning more into the boring side. Not enough to poke the seat here, but just enough to poke the seat here. Oh god, guys, look out, it's fucking fun movies. The hero was made specifically to be a topic, and there's nothing to convince me otherwise. Her kit is so basic, but literally all of it is extremely useful. Everything fast flows into her full block stance, which paired with the bind mechanic is frustrating at best, rage-inducing at worst. Mid-chain crushing counters are an ultimate mistake fixer, but instead of being intentional like the full block, it's primarily used on accident. Speaking of accidents, the dodge stack crushing counters do not need to exist because they are specifically used on accidents. Normally a failed read on a dodgeable 50-50. And just to add on top, the unreactable bash after a 27 damage hitting soft being unblockable with a cancel recovery on a miss. God, writing the script and saying this out loud is pissing me off. BG's fashion sucks. 99% of it is dog shit. The most changes which armor material is the BG going to use. Is that the BG's fault? No, it's the fault of the very lazy way Ubisoft has done armor in the past with heroes, where every second piece of armor has to be a variant, and normally the variant is just forced by removing options like tapes on the rolls. The four piece actually are rolled up on the other BG, like in a base. My only complaint is that BG's damage up on the applied to itself instead of nowadays like the landing and unreactive 340 damage and new banner is not fun, but I will say it is very creative in fighting 2 of these things. 1. BG hasn't had much time to get new executions because I guess Pirate needs another 5 before we can give other heroes something. They're alright. I like the rapid brutality that fits the hero, but since there's a lack of options, they tend to get boring very fast. It's no surprise BG gets to be followed by herself in D tier because nobody in the Vikings faction can compare to her level of glory. And that has been the Vikings tier list. Let me know if you like the video or not, and as always, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day. See, normally executions over time get better and better and outclass the other ones. For example, Warden's from the hilt execution pales in comparison to when he gets down. But this was never the case for Sen. Roman uppercut, glorious execution, Fortier and Electe. For crying out loud, even his needle execution. But goddamn, all of these check off so many boxes. Amazing sound design. Sick camera angles. I would say probably Centurion had the best pool of executions out of any hero ever released. Even the new ones he's getting are surprisingly good.
Fuck, I didn't get to play it. Oh, whatever. It's good. Fine.
The man behind Centurion. This guy poured his heart and soul into it, and he cared for his hero very deeply. Obviously, he didn't stay long to leave himself to good expenses, but always loved his hero. There were recorded fan things where he would ask fans, hey, is Centurion still the best hero in the game? And fans would lie to him and say yes, because they could tell he took so much pride in the voice acting. Even giving fans custom lines, if asked. I'm pretty sure if anyone who's been said has heard the Lamau get bodied, and yes, that was the saying. This was basically the formula every hero needed if they wanted to be successful. And if you disagree with me, I'd like to point out I know they can take a lot of hate for voice acting. Yes, or model. Warden out of the box was just a more boring version of Warden as a whole, with extremely overpowered feats. And the icing on the cake was that she spoke English. This makes her voice acting feel stale and very annoying compared to people like the Centurion. Everyone got tired of hearing it, now she after the first week she was released, but nobody on the planet has ever gotten tired of hearing Centurion. In my opinion, we saw this thing is long with Centurion and really figure out what made him different players. We saw this making another character like hero as always, I guess I made that happen. Before we started actually taking a look at the definition frustrating. Now, frustrating states that anything frustrating is caused by annoyance or upset because of inability to change or achieve something. There are many things in WoW that you've seen and thought of as frustrating. When your opponent has high ping, that's frustrating. When your opponent's only playing S-tiers, that's frustrating. When Ferrari wants to go another function balance patch for Shinobi or Frankie Gardeners, that's frustrating. But if I were really asked what is the most frustrating hero in Runner, I would just have to go with Gladiator. And I know I'm about to be crucified in the comments for saying this is not King's Carry, but you're hear me out on this one. The reason I say Gladiator embodies frustration is because he's the only hero I feel that when I play him, he's frustrating to play against and frustrating to play at. We're going to go into a lot of detail for both of these topics, but let's start off with the roots of Gladiator, where he came from, and much how he's changed today.
Zipit is for businesses that depend on staying connected, no matter where. From smart farms, wearables, to security systems, we help companies connect, manage, and monetize their IT solutions globally and hassle-free. Think about industries where cellular is the top option, or sometimes the only option for reliable connectivity. Outdoor devices, smart sensors in agriculture or transportation. Indoor devices, when running Ethernet cables isn't practical, or when businesses can't rely on corporate Wi-Fi, like in manufacturing or healthcare. Expanding companies growing across regions, including global carrier networks, now general multiple countries. We don't just offer connectivity, we give companies a way to monetize it. Zipit simplifies everything. One unified platform, a single contract, and standardized pricing, and eliminating the complexity so businesses can focus on managing connectivity without sources of frustration. Once you get the development of let's talk. Why? To learn about
Gladiator was released on August 17th, 2017. Saying this out loud really just kind of makes me feel old because I've been playing this game for almost 8 years, huh? This was the second ever DLC to release to For Honor, the first one being the Centurion Shinobi, and a second Roman character was a fantastic idea because it gets blend sent this little Roman bond that the other characters and communities really didn't have, and the community really loved it. A lot of base gladiators were just kind of the same in terms of overall moveset. He never really changed artificially, and you know, the only massive changes he had were stuff like core combat, but there was something very notable that happened around here in 2021. This is any buffs the gladiators overall get. For example, increasing down to the toe stab, adding more change to toe stab and skill really allowed him to feel like a more fleshed out hero now. Increasing his dodge rate from the more to really help him get out of danger, and there was one change that is seen as such an insane competitor gladiator. Those hitting into the toe stab with unbalanced opponents. While the opponent was out of stamina, toe stab goes from a 500 Revenus bash to a 700 Revenus bash to compensate for the bigger punch. With this change to toe stab, it physically hurt Gladiator's viability because during this time period, out of stamina punches were some of the most cancerous days of Fawn to ever exist. To anyone who never played Fawn before August 2022, they never had to deal with the vile and horrid mechanics that came with being out of stamina. See, in today's game, when you're put out of stamina, your stamina meter will refill over time, and if you fall over, you'll get up and gain all your stamina back. Seems good. Before August of 2022, being out of stamina was a literal death sentence against certain heroes. See, but back then, when you were out of stamina, your stamina bar was able to be paused by bashes that already paused stamina and drained. So aka Blackfire and Gordon were massive examples of really good stamina pressure. Stamina regeneration also paused if the person out of stamina was hard broken and thrown, and the biggest kicker was that if you got up, you were still out of stamina. See, Gladiator's out of stamina pressure was some of the best in the game because Gladiators score unbalanced people rather out of stamina, pause stamina for a brief period while throwing them, and those that also pause stamina while throwing them. Gladiator had one of the best player punches in the game, getting out of stamina with a whopping 35 stamina damage. He had all the tools in his arsenal to win a fight even though his opponent was on the back heel and out of stamina. During a balance patch, they ended up removing the punch that he had while the opponent was playing out of stamina, and the old Fawn community was outraged. This led to Ubisoft putting the band-aid fix of just removing the unbalanced feature altogether. And as we know, Ubisoft did what they're known best for. No, not making the most made open world games on demand, but it was double down, backing on the change, and reverting it because it was a bad one just to begin with. This is basically where we are today. Gladiator went multiple patch notes without his name ever being put into it, and normally when heroes go a long way without a buffer in there, they are left behind. While it can be easily really frustrating for an opponent in Dominion based off of how they play. See, if a Gladiator is trying to be cool and flashy like he missed you, they will most likely lose every single team fight they're ever a part of. This is where toe stab comes back into the conversation yet again. You see, For Honor is best at making heroes be useful by doing the bare minimum. Warmonger spamming dodge attacking gangs to break indicators, Shigogi spamming hug for free damage for his team, and spamming toe stab in gangs to convert damage against opponents. See, if you made the wrong read on the skewer, you're getting toe stabbed and then top heavy by his entire team, but if you're wrong and he sends out the skewer, you're taking about 35 bleed damage plus a confirmed top heavy by his teammates. It's a gamble. 90% of the players will always lose unless your team shows up just in time to help them. Basically, if you want to ever survive a black egg, then
Oh, these run with glass? No, I have others. Okay. If they break, it's okay. I just forgot to take that chance.
so insanely high and so attacks. But still, I'm looking at damage, and I've already stated that it's kind of crazy how much damage Gladiator gets. Like 35 damage to each skewer, that makes the most damage on one. It's like very specimen there. So he has so much bumping in front of the wall, he's got to get a free bash and heavy attack. Let's give the benefit of the doubt to Gladiator as tier 2 haymaker. So, you get hit by a skewer or a wall, you're getting 64 damage taken to you. 35 to skewer, 20 person's perspective, that is 31 damage away from Sohe's max punish. Instead of making 2 mistakes, you made 1 in the wrong spot. And to really talk about zone, I just want to make this short and sweet. It's a bash zone, one of only 2 in the game, and this is what makes it really annoying. If you're never actually guaranteed a punch, just like Blackfire, you can really choose to just fake this zone follow up, making dodging a zone a complete gamble. The biggest problem with that is that every Glad main feels entitled to spam zone attack from neutral because he has quote-unquote no good openers, which we'll get into more detail about that later when we talk about the other side. Now, I know I've been talking about Glad being a really good hero, but he's actually just kind of not. He shows a lot of things that kind of these Glad mains to play the way they play. Anyone with around 20 reps knows that Glad just doesn't really have any good openers. He's got a bash that does no confirmed damage, his slides are pretty easy to vary, and his open enemies have some back buster tracking to say the least. Glad struggles with the same problem Set mains had, and that's just if you want to run away from a Glad in a team fight, you just can't. See, sure he has the jumping lines, but it's prone to you just being missing the target, or just outright just being blocked or buried because it's just so goddamn slow and easy to read. In fact, the skewers the same damage, but sometimes the speeding never effect because of 2 reasons. The first one being that there's a specific piece of the animation where Glad can't make the skewer anymore. Tell your opponent, hey, I'm forced to give into this, and the fact that every single casual player attempts to parry every mode of the game. Each skewers in a row, the person who's basically will still affect the parry. by the hyper armor follow-up, but since he's deflecting a damage over time effect, he only gets a total of 3 to 5 damage. Making the right read and literally getting less than haymaker's damage is just extremely frustrating to really have to deal with. It only gets worse by constantly giving new heroes hyper armor follow-ups. These are just the fact that Sewer, there's also the fact that Sewer can be flipped by Blackfire, but you know, every deflect can get flipped. And then you get to play a certain hero to achieve the character's full potential is just really not fun. Having a hero with almost full viable set will always feel better than relying on 2 or 3 moves to carry through any fight. When you lose to a Nabushi after using their entire kit to a duel, you're not really saying, wow, this hero has so many viable moves, that's bullshit. When you lose to Glad, who beats you with just toast out of his own, you will always feel cheated out of the loss. Hopefully Gladiator just gets the love he deserves in a future balance patch. As always, I hope you guys have a great day. You know, being a Knight main, it's honestly surprising how I saved, in my opinion, the most overpowered and controversial hero in this faction for last. I've already covered every other Knight, so to put the cherry on top, we gotta talk about God's gift to NG teens who believe their parents are out to get them because they won't let them smoke at the age of 15. Blackfire was the first of the year of the Harbinger set, or what I call the year of the Jesus Christ for making this game worse set. Each Harbinger brought to the table something the community disliked heavily. For example, their omnidirectional dog attacks were very great, but the everyone red meta should be left behind, and your own thought E-match with her meta, from the force change runner decided to keep. Let me bring you to a much simpler time where Farmers offense had, what's the word? Oh yeah, risk. Farmers used to have such a good risk reward factor, and it counted the bashes the most. This was For Honor's formula for around 2 to 3 years of its gameplay loop until one fateful day. Come January 31st, 2019, Vortiger, or Blackfire as he would be named, released, and coming with him came the Bash meta. There are more problems with BP's Bash properties than my parents' marriage when I was 3 years old. This was one of the first bashes in the game to be completely unpunishable, and when I mean unpunishable, I truly mean it. The only way you could is if you fully predicted it and dodged on the first frames of the bash. Players were quick to tell everyone about this because to them it felt like actual workaround to the problem of this bash. So what did Ubisoft do in return? They made it so if you dodged early, you got caught by bash. But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that? I have theories that the devs actually proved out to play this game and just look at Reddit, and this change made it so certain that I was just right about this. Alongside that issue came the stand bully BP meta. If some people don't know how the standing system worked before, it was very different to what we have now. I explained in the Gladiator video in depth, so if you want to look at that, I'd go watch that one instead. Once you summon up in today's game, if you fall over and get up, you will have full stamina no matter how much stamina you were at before. But back then, you had to fully regen. Not only did regenerating all the stamina take you a longer period of time, but it was able to be wild, and yes, you guessed it, that had the most stamina and stamina cost you. Well, heroes like York capitalized on their they had stamina, BP basically won the fight the most. Criminal to not talk about this part of BP's past, and yes, if you remember it, I remember it like it was yesterday as well. So forward flip had a really funny aspect where flip beats. Yeah, that sounds pretty stupid, and it was. Yeah, that sounds really stupid, and you're not wrong, it was. But for example, let me give you one. If you dropped a fucking catapult, aka a foreign transporting rock, it means you literally defy reality and flip you no matter where you go on the map. It was hilarious, but everyone realized that it had to go because being in these fourth beats was just really broken. Unless you really got to talk about his recovery on his bashes. Now, in today's game, it's either the strongest it's ever been or the same that it's been before, so let's talk about it. Remember when Frontier had those funny little like dodge attacks everyone, sent Warlord and BP? Yeah, that was Blackfire's fault. And the funny thing is that these dodge attacks don't even work against BP themselves. Whether it be chain forward dodge bash or just chain bash, it just doesn't work when you try to use it. So BP is a walking fuck you to counterattacks. Don't believe me? He can counter deflex. And no, not the way Hyper Armor counters them. He can literally flip deflex. So what some BPs do is just let themselves be deflected and flip them like their parents flip them down the stairs. That's kind of like flip some more, huh? But I get it. It is the most intriguing mechanic in the game, but it's just so fucking busted in certain scenarios that you do. Let's look at anyone with a charge bash, or an instant BP to carry, for example. BP can dodge all of their level 1. This takes all the risk out of their bash mix-up and throws it out the fucking window sometimes. Even with Centurion's new buff to speed it up, it's not enough for BP's recovery time. And to continue with this forward stance, we got to talk about its secondary property, and that is his neutral unblockable. Now, being a neutral unblockable itself is strong, but not broken. No. The broken thing about it is that if a VP is a good player, they can just react to the guard break animation. And before I get all those comments saying, you're lying, you can't do that. Well, then explain how I'm doing it right here. No, seriously, I'm waiting. Email me a 5,000 word essay on why it's not possible and then I'm cheating or something. VP is just a whole stem of trouble and we've only focused on...
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I might lose.
Or as the devs call it, funbreaker. Let me ask you something. What is the purpose of video games? Enjoyment? Fun? Relaxation? Whatever word you want to use. So as a development team of a video game, your main goal is to make sure that the game is fun. So please tell me if the balance team labeled this Funbreaker, why has it not been nerfed? This changes fucking nothing.
Fuck!